Hey everybody, here's my 2010 BMW 535i xDrive Touring. Gotta love wagons, right? And the issue that my vehicle had when I purchased it, the original owner told me that the thigh supports, which is this piece on the seat right here, were not functioning. They could be manually adjusted, so I can move these, but the on-seat control, the button right here, does not actually move the thigh supports. So if I try to do this right now, let me just make sure the car's on. And I don't know if you can hear this on video. The motor's moving, but the thigh support is not moving. So why does this fail? Well, basically, there's a part of this drive mechanism that moves this seat that breaks, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. So no need to take your car to the dealer and spend hundreds of dollars. This is actually a very simple fix and can be done with basic hand tools. So stay tuned. Let's just go over what the failure is. So you can see here, this is the worm gear. This is the OEM one from my driver's side, which I've already fixed. And as you can see, there's two pieces on this gear. There's a nylon piece, drive part of it, and then this metal worm gear. And basically, you know, I could try to glue this back. It might fix it, probably won't last. So the aftermarket has fortunately come up with a great solution for this, and that's basically an all-metal worm gear or drive gear. And you can find these on eBay. I paid, I think, about $11, $12 shipped to get it here. That's US dollars. And this is hopefully a permanent solution. Since it's all metal, it shouldn't break again. Presumably, the reason that BMW chose this combination of the metal and nylon gear, most likely for noise, I'm thinking. The one thing I did notice after replacing the driver's side is that it is a bit noisier. However, I'm willing to put up with that to have that functionality restored. So let's go over tools in terms of what's needed to do this. As I said, basic hand tools is all you need. So I've got my drive set here with some Torx drivers, a couple of flathead screwdrivers, and some silicone grease, or synthetic grease, I should say. Got a trim removal tool. This is handy for popping off some of the seat cover parts. Gloves are handy. It is a little greasy once you open things up, so I definitely recommend those. And I've also got a little tin container for my my screws, just to stay organized. So let's go ahead and take a look at the disassembly process, and then I'll show you how to replace the gear and get the seat working again. So for disassembly, all the tools you're going to need for this part are a trim removal tool. As I said, that's a very handy one. Highly recommend having one just for odd things you're going to do on your car. Torx drivers, I'll go over which specific Torx drivers I'm using as I go, and then got a screwdriver here. Now, to gain access to the mechanism, best seat positioning is to actually twist this and move the front of the seat all the way up. And I like to move the seat all the way back, okay? Next, we're going to pull this out, and there are some screws underneath here. So there's one right here, and there's another one on the other side right here. So we're gonna go ahead and pull those out. So I've got a Torx 30 driver, and I'm gonna go ahead and just pop these out. All right, now one other detail, if you do have heated seats, there is a connector right here that you need to pull off, and you just pop these out. Okay, this is the end. And I just throw the seat back here. Okay, so the next pieces of disassembly here, we're gonna pull some of the trims off. This bottom one you don't have to take out, but it is easier for maneuverability. This comes out very easily. You don't even need a trim removal tool. You just put your fingers underneath the bottom, pretty much lift straight out, and it just pops out. Okay, the next trim piece that you'll need to remove is this front section right here. It connects with a metal tab right here. And this one you can pull off by hand as well. See where that clip is. So just try to maneuver around it and pull it straight back. Now on this one, I'm gonna probably just use my trim removal tool to get in here and pry this off.
A few moments later.
This is the only part that clips into the frame of the seat. On this side, there's kind of a funky way this attaches. So if you can see on camera here, it sounds like it's breaking, but I assure you it's not breaking. This just slides out and pops right out. Now the way this goes back in is a little more difficult, but there's two holes right here. There's a tab there. The tab goes inside, and there's two hooks on this other side of this other piece of trim where these two pieces go in. So just make note of that. All right, next piece of trim that needs to come off is this one right here. This one also could just pop out. I recommend using a trim removal tool for this. Okay, I'm just gonna show you midway here. So this is the metal tab I was telling you about. It attaches to the frame right in here, and try to just pry it straight up, okay? And again, it just slides back. There are two little clips on these. Just be sure you don't break those. All right, so the next thing you're gonna need to do after you get this plastic trim piece off is to unscrew these silver screws that are holding the assembly in place. There's 4, 5, 10 of these, and just use a Torx 20 driver and take these all out. All right, with all those screws out, now this assembly is free. It is kind of stuck in here a little bit. You'll see that there's these kind of plastic clips in different areas where it attaches to the frame. They don't really hold it, but you might have to just kind of move them aside to kind of push it out. So there's two on each side. Once you've pressed those in, now you can see the whole assembly is loose. Here's the view from underneath. To get this thing out can be a little bit of an ordeal. You definitely need two hands, but what I've found is pushing back and kind of twisting this up, and just do one side at a time. You can kind of grab underneath here and pull from the bottom once you do get it free. Okay, so there's one side free. The other side is a little tricky. There is a drive motor here, and there's a brown connector. It should just pop right out. And then once you've got that free, you can go ahead and just pull this whole side out. Again, using that same technique of kind of pushing it up and down towards the bottom of the seat, and lifting, pulling from the bottom.
More moments later.
All right, so this side ended up getting a little sticky. I did end up using a flathead screwdriver just to kind of push down on this part of the frame, this metal piece. And here's the assembly. Grab this with two hands. Make sure these two pieces do not rotate. because it's very easy for this to get out of alignment. Keep both hands on it, bring it over to a flat space where you can start the rest of the disassembly. All right, so I've got the assembly on my workbench area here. The next step of disassembly is not too difficult, but it does require some patience. So this is the drive motor side. There's a plastic housing where the worm gear is inside. It kind of runs right here. This is the drive motor. You're gonna need to take out these Torx screws, and then there's some tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hopefully you can see 5 right there. I recommend just being very ginger with a flathead screwdriver, kind of coming in and popping these off. I'm going to take these Torx screws off here, and then we'll get started with the rest of it. You'll need to take out these 3 Torx 15 screws that hold the drive motor. Your next step here is to pull these clips. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, these are a bit of an exercise in patience. That being said, if you do break them, it's really not a big deal. There's 3 of those Torx 20 screws that kind of hold this whole thing in place, and then those Torx 15s that attach the drive motor. So honestly, not a huge deal if you do break them, but if you want to keep that original quality, just take your time with them. The best way to go at these is with a flathead screwdriver. Just kind of pry underneath, get them loose, and once you do get some separation, you'll see this top plastic piece right here kind of separates from the bottom. And go ahead and stick a flathead screwdriver or a pry tool in there just so you can maintain pressure to keep this open. And then as you go around, take the other clips out. This should just pop right open. Those are the first 2 off. Keep that screwdriver in there, and then you're going to go around and take the other 3 out. Loose now. This pops right up. And as you can see, we've got failure of the nylon mechanism here. So you're going to pull out the drive motor, it just slides right out, and pull the gear out. Couple things to note. There are 2 metal discs, one on this side, one on this side. If they do come out during disassembly, they do slot back in. Other things you need to know is these 2 plastic collars will need to transfer over to the new gear. So I'm going to transfer those over, and then we're going to put the new one in. And just go ahead and put some grease on this gear. Just spread it out all over. So we've got it nice and greased up. Go ahead and drop it in. Should be a pretty snug fit. It should not pop out or move around too much. And then go ahead and slide the drive motor back on. and clip the assembly back on. All right, and then just replace those 3 Torx 15s, the Torx 20s, and then we'll go ahead and put it back in the seat. All right, so with this all assembled, back to the car we go. Now just remember, drive motor is on the inside. The best way to do this I've found is to start with the drive motor side, which is on the center of the car. So you're going to want to just slide it underneath, and you kind of twist this up and get it in position here. It is a little tricky, but just try to be patient and you should be able to get it. Okay, so you just got to sort of juggle it from the bottom, and then what you want to do is line up this clip here and this clip here, and it just kind of presses up from the bottom into place. All right, so this is the position, and then if you've got 2 hands, it's easy. Hold it from the bottom with one hand, and then you're going to replace those Torx 20 screws that I was showing you from the disassembly. The assembly fully screwed in and back in place. Next step is to go ahead and reconnect the motor. So go ahead and slide that in. Clip it in. And then we're going to put some of the trim back on. So this piece here, very simply, just clips into place. Again, make sure you note the location of these, and best way to do these. Boom. All right, now the seat. All right, so there was 2 Torx 30 screws that screw in here, and then a heater cable. I'm going to connect the heater cable first and then screw those in. Just going to finger tighten these first. And then go ahead and tighten them up. Now, before you do the rest of the trim, let's go ahead and test it out. Run it a few times back and forth just to make sure the gear is fully lubricated. Now go ahead and replace the trim. Alright, so this last trim piece is pretty easy. There are some clips right here. They go around this bar, bar on the frame of the seat. So go ahead and put those in first. Get them all clipped in, and push the trim back, and there you go. Voila. For those of you detailers out there, you all know the job's not done until you clean, right? So I've got a little Griot's Garage interior scrubbing pad. Got some PNS Express interior cleaner. Just go ahead and wipe everything down. Now we're done. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. For anyone who's having thigh support problems with their comfort seats, now you know the solution. Hopefully a quick and easy fix for anyone.